Good morning, and let me say something that might genuinely surprise you. The medical establishment has spent decades telling seniors to slow down, take it easy, and accept the natural decline that comes with age. But what if I told you that some of the most groundbreaking longevity research of the last 10 years completely contradicts that advice? What if the things keeping you sharp, strong, and independent at 75, 80, even 85 years old are not the things your doctor mentioned at your last checkup, but simple daily habits that most people your age have quietly abandoned? I'm Dr. William, and after more than 2 decades working with patients in the 75 to 85 age range, I've seen something that the research is only now beginning to confirm. People who age the best, the ones who still drive themselves to appointments, who still garden, who still remember every grandchild's birthday without writing it down, they share a very specific set of behaviors, not expensive supplements, behaviors. A landmark study published by the Stanford Center on Longevity followed over 4,200 adults between the ages of 70 and 90 for a period of 12 years. What they found was striking. Those who maintained just 4 or more of these specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience what researchers call accelerated functional decline, meaning the rapid loss of independence that sends so many seniors into assisted living far earlier than necessary. 61%. That is not a small number. That is the difference between living your life on your own terms and living it on someone else's schedule. Now, I want to tease something before we go further because I know you might be tempted to skip ahead. The number one habit on this list, the most powerful of all 6, is something that almost no one talks about. It has nothing to do with diet or exercise in the traditional sense. In fact, most cardiologists don't even bring it up. But the research coming out of institutions like Johns Hopkins and the University of Edinburgh suggests it may be the single greatest predictor of cognitive and physical independence after age 75. So please stay with me until the end, because that one could genuinely change how you approach the rest of your life. But before we dive into the list, I want to ask you something personally. Drop your age in the comments below, whether you're 68, 74, 81, or somewhere else entirely, and tell me which of these habits do you think you already have. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. This community means everything to me, and your story matters. So leave it down there, and let's have a real conversation. Now, let's count down from number 6 to number 1, starting with something that sounds almost too simple to be life-changing, but the science behind it is anything but simple. Number 6, drinking water strategically, not just casually. Here is what most people get wrong about hydration after 75. They think it works the same way it did at 45. It absolutely does not. After the age of 70, your kidneys lose approximately 40% of their filtering efficiency. Your body's thirst signals become significantly blunted, meaning you genuinely stop feeling thirsty even when you're severely dehydrated, and your blood's ability to carry oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and brain drops miserably with every percentage point of fluid you lose. Think of your bloodstream like a river delivery system. When that river runs low, the delivery trucks slow down, packages get lost, and the whole operation starts breaking down. That is exactly what chronic mild dehydration does to the aging body. Research from the European Journal of Nutrition involving 3,500 adults over the age of 70 found that who maintained consistent daily hydration above 1.8 liters showed a 38% lower rate of urinary tract infections, a 29% reduction in falls because dehydration dramatically impairs balance and reaction time, and significantly better scores on short-term memory tests. The brain is approximately 75% water. Even a 2% drop in hydration causes measurable cognitive impairment at any age. But after 75, that effect is amplified because your brain's compensatory mechanisms are already working harder just to maintain baseline function. Here's the key that makes this a habit for truly exceptional seniors. They don't just drink water when they remember, they drink 12 to 16 ounces first thing in the morning before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else. This is because the body loses fluid overnight through breathing and minor perspiration. And after 75, your overnight fluid deficit is typically 30% higher than it was in midlife. Then, they drink a small glass with every meal and one mid-afternoon. The synergy tip here is critical. Pair your morning water with a small amount of sodium, not table salt, but a pinch of high-quality sea salt or an electrolyte tablet, because after 75, your kidneys have more difficulty retaining sodium, and without it, plain water passes through your system without being fully absorbed into your cells where it's actually needed. Margaret, 81 years old from Boise, Idaho, came to see me complaining of afternoon brain fog, dizziness when standing, and what she described as feeling like my thinking was wrapped in cotton. She was not dehydrated in any dramatic sense. She was chronically, mildly underhydrated. We made one change: strategic hydration time correctly, with a small electrolyte addition in the morning. 6 weeks later, she told me it felt like someone had cleaned the windows of her mind. Her balance improved, her afternoon fatigue decreased significantly. One habit, life-changing results. Number 5, resistance-based movement, at least twice per week. I need to be very clear about something here because I see this misunderstood constantly. When I say resistance movement, I am not talking about going to a gym and lifting heavy weights. I'm talking about any movement that asks your muscles to work against a force, whether that's a resistance band, a light dumbbell, a wall push-up, or even carrying groceries with intention. The distinction matters enormously after 75 because of a process called anabolic resistance. Let me explain what that means. Anabolic resistance is the reduced ability of aging muscle cells to respond to protein and exercise stimulation. In practical terms, it means that after 75, your body needs more signal, more intentional resistance to maintain the same amount of muscle that a 50-year-old would maintain with half the effort. Your muscles are not lazy, they are simply harder to reach. And if you don't reach them consistently, they begin a process called sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength, which research from the Mayo Clinic has linked to a 47% increased risk of falls, a 53% higher likelihood of being unable to perform basic daily tasks within 5 years, and a dramatically shortened overall lifespan. A study from Tufts University followed adults aged 75 to 85 who began twice-weekly resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 37% increase in leg strength, a 28% improvement in balance scores, and here is the part that always surprises people: a measurable improvement in insulin sensitivity, which directly affects energy, inflammation, and cognitive function. The mitochondria in your muscle cells, which are essentially the power plants of your body, literally regenerate more efficiently when resistance exercise is present. You are not just building muscle, you are rebuilding the energy infrastructure of your entire body. The practical prescription is simple: 2 to 3 sessions per week, 20 to 30 minutes each, focusing on the large muscle groups, legs, hips, and back. Resistance bands are ideal for seniors because they provide progressive resistance without joint impact. The synergy tip: perform your resistance session within 30 minutes of consuming 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 75, the anabolic window, the period during which your muscles can most efficiently absorb protein for repair, is shorter and less forgiving than in younger adults. Timing is not optional at your age, it is essential. Number 4, maintaining a consistent